You can be the most handsome, the most wealthiest, the most famous, but if you don't have social skills, inevitably you will still fail. Listen guys, women do not fall in love with your jawline. They fall in love with how you make them feel. And how you make them feel is 99% through communication. Now me, the Digital Romeo, I've been on well over 200 dates, and I can tell you without a shadow of a doubt that these 5 social skills that I'm about to tell you right now are definitely the most important, so stay tuned. Now let's take it a step further. Why are social skills so important in dating? Well, if you guys remember my dating formula, which I've talked about a handful of times, is the fact that it follows these 4 principles: connection, comfort, attraction, and then escalation. So in terms of social skills, it builds trust, which also builds comfort. And then of course, you can also build upon the attraction if you are charismatic, if you're witty, if the date goes well. That is why in some cases, a woman can be like a low or medium interest into you when she goes out on a date with you. But after the date, her attraction and interest is now risen because of how you can socially convey yourself. This is exactly what they call game or charisma. Now let's think of a weird example, Jeffrey Dahmer. Perhaps one of the world's most attractive serial killers alongside with Ted Bundy. Like women and guys clearly found this man attractive, right? But if you look at his interviews and sometimes how he carries himself, it actually reduces his attraction just due to how socially inept he was. So I say this to say that even though being physically attractive is very, very important, if you don't have the social skills alongside with the physical attractiveness, I promise you, you won't go that far, as we stated in the intro. Now, the number 1 social skill you need to have, and this is perhaps the number 1 most complimented social skill about myself personally, is the fact that you want to be easy to talk to. Now, what does being easy to talk to mean? All it really means is that you make the conversation feel comfortable for her and you're a listener. This is why it's also taught within first dates. You want to be able to listen more than you talk. That way you come off as more like a therapist. Think of like the flirty therapist sort of game, to where, you know, you're listening, allowing her to talk a lot. You're still giving your takes, experiences, maybe even some stories, but overall she's doing most of the talking. And then from there, you're leading the conversation through asking questions, creating that conversational flow. Now, whenever you do this, it also just makes her feel special. It makes her feel heard. It makes her feel listened to, because for the most part, a lot of girls go out on dates where guys are just constantly talking about themselves, constantly talking about their accolades, what they're doing in life, and overall just don't allow the woman to speak. And so if you just implement this 1 social skill, your dates are gonna get a whole lot better. Honestly, it should get to a point where she's saying, you know, I've talked so much, what about you? Or sorry, I talk a lot. They just apologize for talking so much, but little do they know is that that's exactly what you kind of manipulated the conversation to be around, is the fact that you're the flirty therapist. You're just listening, giving your take, and allowing her to feel comfortable with speaking to you. Now guys, I mentioned this before, but you always want to make sure you don't boast or brag about yourself. You always want to make sure that you're coming off humble and allow discovery to trump disclosure. So if you got nice material objects, if you live in a nice place, if you got a lot of accolades behind your name, if you're very educated, allow that to come up naturally through stories. Don't try to go out your way to sort of showcase or tell those things. Now, another social skill that all men need to know is how to effectively text. Because whether you meet a woman online or in person, I guarantee you it will probably lead to a text conversation. So if you also struggle with texting, be sure to check out my new free ebook, Text Guide. In this guide, I'll not only show you effective ways to create conversation, but also do so in a way that makes you look more attractive, so that you can stop getting left on red and land more dates. I guaranteed after reading this, you're gonna become a better texter within 3 minutes. Once again, this is a free ebook. All you gotta do is click the link down below this video or in the pinned comment, and you can access it for absolutely free. So be sure to check it out. Now, another thing that makes conversations very interesting and not so boring is the fact that you at least have some sort of stories to tell. Now, your stories don't have to be long, they don't have to be very exaggerated, but overall, whenever you implement stories and your take on certain things in a storyline sort of way, it shows that you're adventurous and that you're experienced. Because us guys, we look for in a woman, not a lot of experience, not a lot of, you know, I've been here, I've been there, I know this guy, I know this person. But women on the other hand are the complete opposite. So a guy who is experienced, a guy who is adventurous, a guy who is well-traveled and has stories to tell, overall can make your conversation a lot more attractive and a lot more appealing and engaging to her. For example, if you're just a guy who's very logical, very boring, you're on the date, you're just asking questions or you're just giving statements, you're not really telling your experiences, experiences or your life experiences or interesting stories, then I promise you, you're gonna come off way more boring than what you intend to look like. So of course, stories are gonna come from your own lived experience. However, if you have trouble creating stories, maybe you can come up with some canned stories that you've practiced or that you consistently tell. Listen, whenever you go out on dates, you'll start to realize that some of the same questions and answers, like it's all gonna be fairly similar. It's gonna feel like you're living in a simulation because you're like, damn, deja vu, I've been here before. So with that being said, just tell a story that you're used to saying through a conversation point that gets brought up fairly often. And for that reason, over time, you can just get better and better at telling it. And let's not forget that women love when you can teach them something. So sometimes your story will also indirectly be able to teach them something or to give them some secondhand experience towards something that they're probably interested in. And lastly, this also helps you avoid the interview mode. Whenever you're just asking questions back to back to back and you're giving no sort of statements or experiences alongside with that. Never go interview mode, guys. Try to tell some stories, get some statements, and tell your own personal experiences. Now, the next social skill is something that I feel like every man, without a shadow of a doubt, should start learning whenever they're as young as possible. And this is a huge problem that I see in terms of the guys that I teach who are mostly on the younger side, is the fact that they just have trouble leading. Guys, as a man, you have to lead every single part. You have to be leading the conversation. You have to be leading through text. You have to be leading through environmental escalation. You got to be leading through physical escalation. Overall, you just have to position yourself as the leader. Now, the reason why this is so important from a social skill standpoint is the fact that it sets the frame of masculine and feminine. If you deal with a feminine woman, I promise you, she's going to be looking towards a guy that can lead her somewhere. And as a masculine man, you got to have that social skill ready and available at all times. So from a social standpoint, how do you lead? Essentially, all you're gonna do is just tell her what you want to do or what you want her to do. Do not ask questions. Do not say, do you wanna do this or that? Do not give her options. Let her know like, hey, this is what I want to do. You're welcome to join with me. Or, hey, let's go do this. Even when you're in a long-term relationship, this never ends. You must always lead. You're setting the dates, you're telling her what you want to do, and she's conforming to your frame. A lot of women are very indecisive. A lot of women have no idea what they want to eat, what they want to do. So for that reason, they're always going to look to you as the masculine leader. Now, you guys have probably heard of this one word, and it's called confidence. It's very, very important when it comes to social skills, but also even body language. So we're going to talk about both. Verbal and non-verbal. As a man, you must always showcase confidence in every single scenario. So for example, in terms of social skills, this is very, very important whenever you're approaching a woman or trying to get to know a woman. In that connection phase, the formula we talked about earlier, is the fact that you must be confidently sure of yourself. You must have no doubts, no regrets. You must be 100% sure in yourself and what you're saying. That's all confidence really is. Even if you're wrong, and the fact that you came off confident and the fact that you came off, masculine and strong and not unfazed, that overall in itself is highly, highly attractive. And in some cases, if you present confidence, even though the woman really isn't that attracted to you, she can just simply admire your confidence and then give you a chance just solely from that. Because she knows 90% of men are unconfident, weak men who doubt themselves and who are unsure of themselves. So with that being said, practice confidence in every single scenario. You need to mean what you say, and you need to stand on business, as the young kids are saying nowadays. Now, in terms of body language, basically what you're gonna represent is, I've been here 1,000 times. When you guys are out on dates, whether it be the first date, second date, third date, or overall just a new interaction, you need to showcase that through your body language, like, hey, I'm kind of unfazed by this. Like this is something, I've done 1,000 times. This is my 201st date, my 202nd date. Like, this is nothing to me. And you showcase that through having open body language, like being relaxed, not being tense, not being scared, not being closed off, right? Open body language is critical when it comes to showing your confidence in yourself. So the last social skill that you guys need to master, and I do feel like a lot of guys have this just naturally within themselves, but if you don't, here's what it is the fact that you need to get used to telling her what she wants to hear. Yes, guys, you're logical, you're systematic, you're super real, you want to tell her the truth, but I promise you, and this is something that I personally have to learn too, is the fact that women do not want to know the truth, bro. Women prefer comforting lies over harsh truths. Now, especially if you guys are red pill, sometimes you'll come off way too logical and you'll try to almost red pill women. I've seen it with my own eyes where, I'm with friends and they're like talking like red pill concepts with girls they're meeting. Bro, that doesn't work. Women are emotional. Remember that. So you must always speak from an emotional sense. Sometimes you just gotta tell her what she wants to hear, bro. And that's also called selling her a dream. Now, there's multiple examples of this in long-term relationships and also courtships. The first one being is the fact that, when she wears that birthday makeup and you tell her that she looks good, right? Or maybe you tell her like, hey, the birthday makeup doesn't look good, but you should probably not tell her the truth. Or in some cases, if you guys want to tell her the truth, if you're super real, then just expect the drama, the emotions, the arguments to just come alongside with that. Because as I said before, they do not want the truth. They want the comforting lie. So also think about why we deal with women in the first place. When you see an attractive girl, why you want to talk to her, why you want to get to know her, it's more than likely to have sex with her and then to potentially get to know her later on. But initially you're physically attracted to her and you just want to have sex with her. What do you think will happen if you walked up to a woman and said, hey, I'd like to have sex with you? You're on the first date. Hey, how about we get out of here? Well, I know your name, you know my name. Let's go upstairs and have sex. It's not gonna go well. You know why? It's because even if women want to have sex with you, you cannot overtly state that because women do not want the truth. There has to be a bit of seduction in there. They have to be primed to emotionally want you, not just physically, right? So start thinking like a woman, and sometimes in a lot of cases, understand that you will have to sell them a dream and tell them what they want to hear in that moment. However, if used in the right way, and if used strategically, you can actually get a woman highly invested into you, or you can just be very honest, very brutally honest, and for that reason lose out on a lot of women and deal with their emotions on the back end. Personally, I don't want to deal with that, but you guys do what you want. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to check out the new free ebook called Text God if you want to immediately improve your texting with women. And I'm gonna see you guys in the next video. Peace.